What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing our spoiler-free review of a movie that just came out called Torn Hearts. Let's check it out. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm not really into country music or stuff like that, but a movie's a movie, and if it's a good movie and it has some good things in it, then I'll enjoy it, and that person can make me interested in that kind of topic. But I also like to see movies that I don't normally like to see, or different scenes and settings that I wouldn't see, or different characters that I've never seen in a movie before. So this was kind of interesting. This is a movie about two girls who are country singers that are coming up in the scene in Nashville, and they want to grow and become really famous. So they somehow secure the home location of one of their famous country singers. It was a duet of these two girls that were really famous back in the day that blew up. It's very similar to, and I know it's not a very good time to say, but Winona and Ashley Judd, one of the singers, has of course passed away by unaliving themselves, and the girls go to the remaining sister's house and try to get some sort of like help. And it's very obvious that one of the girls, one works a little bit harder, one doesn't, or one thinks that the other one doesn't, and one does. One of those kind of things where there are two different types of girls that makes an entire whole, and they're going to seek help from this one sister who was famous to do a song with her, and that's when things get really out of fucking hand. This is a movie that is directed by Bree Grant, who is also an actress and has been doing writing for numerous years now, about a decade, and she's also done a couple of movies like Best Friends Forever and 12-Hour Shift, which I've not seen, by the way. 12-Hour Shift apparently was like a comedy horror, very bloody. We have a writer on board here whose name is Rachel Kohler Croft, which is a very hard name to say, and I've recorded that like 7 times. This is her first feature film, and they work together pretty well, I think. We got some stars in the cast. We have Peg Bundy, aka Katie Seagal, who is pretty great in the performance of the older sister, who is trying to teach these young girls. And we also have Abby Quinn and Alexis Lemire, who do a pretty fantastic job of being the young country starlets that are coming up. Now, I would be a fool if I didn't at least mention that this movie reminds me a lot of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. In fact, it almost feels like some sort of continuation in some regard, or that someone was an ultimate fan and thought, hey, what if? Now, I don't want to say too much more than that if you've seen the movie, but let's just say things get pretty wild in the house and everybody's at each other's throats. And it gets pretty bloody and pretty graphic, which, you know, isn't the heaviest dose, but it is in there. Not as much as a gorehound probably dreams of, but it's in there. This is a Blumhouse production that is, you know, some people feel like, oh, they're going to be doing something I don't like or have preconceived notions about it. But honestly, I thought this was a very different approach than they normally do in a lot of their movies. And it is somewhat funny in some regards, but there is some very creepy moments and suspense throughout this movie that keep you wondering what's going on. This movie does have somewhat of a suspension of disbelief in a couple of moments in the film, because you're thinking to yourself, like, just leave. Like, get the fuck out. Like, what are you doing? And there's a couple of moments in the film that I just don't buy some of the characters doing, but for the sake of the story, it kind of pushes this story along and is, you know, kind of entertaining. I really thought this was actually pretty fun for a movie that I had no real anticipation for. I had no real interest in, other than it looked like, you know, Katie Seagal was going to be doing some dark shit, and I was really excited about that. And she does not fail here. She does a really good job of kind of playing both sides of the fence, the sweet, the kind, the dark, the fucked up, and it really kind of mashes these two girls in the center. There are a couple of surprises, and I think you will probably enjoy it more than dislike it. The music, of course, is very, you know, apropos for what they're trying to do here. It seems like it fits perfectly for the theme, and, you know, it seems pretty believable that Katie Seagal is doing the role that she's supposed to do, as well as these girls, too. But things changed pretty drastically. The ending was kind of spotty, and then you know, has a twist sort of thing going on, which kind of made me like it a little bit more, and I think is probably a better cap on the end in the bigger picture. But, you know, it is one of those movies that might be a little more niche for certain groups and certain audiences. This movie is very female-centric. It is all about women going out there and doing what they gotta do. They make mention of a couple of things about the patriarchy and stuff like that, but it's not like this overwhelming thing that they do. It's more just about, you know, women singers being women singers, and people who want to become famous and who don't, or people who work hard and think that their other partner isn't. I mean, everybody can relate to that in some degree in anything that you've ever tried to lift off the ground for yourself. There's just a lot of wires that get crossed, and this movie preys on those. And Katie Seagal's character preys on those. I think it's worth a watch. I'd probably give it a 7.5. It really wasn't for me, but I still enjoyed it. I think it's well acted. I think it's well shot. And I think it's well written for the most part, other than a few minor points that kind of made me have to suspend my disbelief a little bit. But the action and the fun and the gore and the violence kind of helped get over that hump a little bit. But like I said, if you like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, I think you should definitely give this a whirl. I told Christina to check it out for that reason alone, and hopefully she'll check it out. But what did you think? Did you guys enjoy the movie? Have you seen it yet? Have you rented it? It's out for $6.99 on VOD right now that you can get at any one of your digital outlets, or, you know, whatever you prefer. I'm sure it'll pop up on like Hulu or one of the streaming services that you could check out, but at least you have the option to rent it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this movie, and would love to hear what you think. Please leave a comment in the comment section down below, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, hit the like and subscribe button. But other than that, thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.